Well guys, we have a story here which is rather sickening but kind of shows the mentality of these people who follow these deluded causes we mock all the time. The story itself was sent to me by YouTuber Liberal Hivemind from across the pond. I will link his channel below for those who do not already follow him. Now, I would be shocked, but we hear stories like this all the time and it's often lefty tosspots doing it. In this case, he literally destroyed his own mother, stole £25,000 of her money while trying his best to lie and cheat his way out of what he had done. Even trying to justify his hatred of her because in his words she was a Brexit voting half-wit, which you might think is not that bad, but you wait until you hear what he actually did to her. Man jailed for bludgeoning to death mother he called Brexit voting half-wit, and there's a picture of the low-life dirty fuck pig that you see there. A sports psychologist who branded his mother a Brexit voting half-wit and bludgeoned her to death so that he could continue to finance his fantasy lifestyle has been jailed for at least 29 years. The court had heard 37-year-old Robert Child from the Wirral in Liverpool had on March 6th fatally struck his mother, 64-year-old Janice Child, in the face and neck 31 times. So this absolute scumbag struck his mother in the face and neck 31 times with what police believed to have been a hammer, showing just how deluded some of these Remain supporting tosspots can actually be. The jury was told how Child was living well beyond his means, having travelled to Barcelona, Disneyland Paris and London before the murder, leaving him with just £1.01 in his bank. He also had a combined £32,000 in debts to loans and credit cards, as well as £16,000 in county court judgments according to the BBC. So he was obviously deep in the shit, thinking he could live like he was a rich kid when in actual fact his job clearly couldn't cover it. And then somewhere along the lines he decided killing his mother and stealing her money might be a better idea, which goes to show just how fucking stupid this guy really is. While the 37-year-old admitted to the murder, he claimed that he had not killed his mother for financial gain. However, he had transferred 25 grand from his mother's account to his own minutes after leaving her house on the day of the murder and brought a used Jaguar for £14,000 the day after. Because obviously it wasn't for money, he needed that Jaguar to get around, he couldn't have just took a taxi or anything else. Clearly shitting on his nonsensical claim that I'm sure was laughed out of the court. During the trial, Liverpool Crown Court heard how Child had made disparaging comments about his mother to a colleague when she suggested he buy emergency food supplies at the outset of the coronavirus pandemic, calling her the Brexit voting half-wit. And let me tell you now, the world is calling you the Remain supporting fuckpig, and I sure hope you don't have an easy time in prison, that is for sure. Officers found the 64-year-old dead in her home in Walton, Liverpool on March 7th after neighbours had called the police when they heard her dog barking. She was found in a utility room under the staircase, with investigators believing she had been struck with a hammer and one other weapon. So he likely had a weapon in each hand and was raining down blows upon her. The fucking scumbag. This is making me feel sick. What sort of scum cunt can actually do that to their mother? The victim had been living alone at the time, as her husband Stanley, who has since passed away, was in a care home suffering from dementia. So she's dealing with her husband who's in a care home suffering from dementia, and you got a scumbag like this coming round her ass, stealing her money and taking a hammer to her head. I'm not sure prison is the best thing for him. The psychologist tried to cover his tracks by faking phone calls from his mother's mobile phone to his, but police eventually caught him after they discovered his fingerprints in his mother's blood on the door and a bus ticket putting him in the area at the time of the murder. Because obviously this guy is fucking master criminal, isn't he? Or at least he probably thought he was in the lead up to the killing when he was obviously planning it. As we can see by his piss poor attempt at covering his tracks, he's got the criminal intelligence of a grapefruit. It continues. He also claimed that he was driven to the murder after finding out that his mother had been using multiple Twitter accounts to troll his estranged wife. However, authorities found no evidence that Mrs. Child had ever had one Twitter account. Child was already seeing another woman at the time of the murder and told investigators that he was planning a wedding despite being legally married. Who actually gives a shit? You never know, he might find himself a nice husband in there. During sentencing on Monday, Judge Watson called Child a selfish narcissist who murdered his mother in a spiteful attack when he realised his fantasy life would collapse. The judge also branded Child a prolific liar who lied about finishing his PhD, claimed that he had worked in combat zones for the British Ministry Secretary of Defence and was a football scout for Manchester United. So not only killing his mother, but his constant bullshit proves him to be one of the most scummiest bastards you will likely ever see. But I'm sorry to say, if I was the judge, it would have been more than colourful words I'd have been throwing at him, that is all I will say. Speaking after the sentencing, Detective Chief Inspector Cheryl Rhodes of Merseyside Police said, Robert Child brutally murdered his own mother in an appallingly violent attack. Ever since committing the offence, he has gone to great lengths to try and lie and cheat his way out of the consequences of his actions, in the same way he has lied through his entire life. We are pleased the courts have not accepted any of these accounts, and today he starts a significant prison sentence. Yeah, well, in my opinion, he should have got life because that's the most we could give him. While 29 years is a long time, anyone that does something like this, in my opinion, should never see the light of day again. The death of Janice is a tragedy which has affected everyone involved, and we hope that today's outcome at least provides some comfort for those who knew her. Although nothing can bring back Janice, the strongest possible justice has at least been served. Well, it's not the strongest possible justice, but I'll guess it'll have to do. So guys, I think you would agree that this wankstain has taken Brexit derangement syndrome to a whole new level. Either that, or he's just using it as a convenient excuse for bludgeoning his own mother to death with something like 32 injuries.
We're off!